Well, okay, guys, so we are here in our next topic, that is how to solve system of equations in exams as ACT, GRE, GMAT, etc. So we know that whenever we talk about system of equations, we're talking about two equations with two unknowns. That's the common scenario. You can have some other cases in mathematics, but here we're just sticking to what we will be required to do in this kind of exams. So two equations and two unknowns. So there are commonly used two methods or two approaches on how to solve a system of equations. One that tends to be the most common one that we're many times taught at school, that is by substitution. And there is a second one that is my favorite one. That's the one I'm going to try to explain in this video. It works in, I think, all of the cases that I have seen in these exams. The system of elimination, it always works. Sorry, this was meant to be an elimination. Okay, so let's write down here some theory about how to solve a system of equations through elimination. Okay, there are mainly what we want to do through the elimination process is get a system of equations and figure out how can we eliminate one of the variables first. So the whole objective is to visualize and see how can we eliminate one of the variables, okay? One variable. That's what we want to do. In order to do that, what we want to do is to make the coefficients, okay, of the variable that we want to eliminate. So make the coefficients of the variable the same, okay? Make the coefficients the same in both equations, okay? That's gonna be our very first step. Then the third step is now how do you make the coefficients of the variable the same in both equations? So this will be mainly by multiplying. So multiply or divide. Okay, we're gonna show and go over these steps again with the next example. Okay, so I want to multiply or divide one of the equations. Okay, one of the equations. Okay, multiply or divide one of the equations. After we have the coefficient of one of the variables the same in both equations, now we just need to decide if we want to add or subtract the equations in order to get rid of the variable, okay? So let's go over this process step by step with a quick example here. Say that what we have is this equation. We have 4x plus 3y to be equal to 13. And my second equation is x plus 2y equals to 12. So we want to solve the system. When we said we want to solve the system, it means we want to find the value of x and the value of y that comply with the two equations right here. So we need to decide which variable do we want to eliminate. In this case, just because of a matter of practicity, I'm going to eliminate x because it seems that is the easier one for me to work with. So if we follow our steps, the first is make the coefficients of the variable the same in both equations by multiplying or dividing one of the equations. So here you can see that the coefficient of x in this equation is 4 and here it is 1. I want to make it equal in both. So I will do that by multiplying this second equation by 4. Now, remember that I need to multiply the whole equation, okay? If I multiply this whole equation, the second one, by 4, what do we have? We have 4 times x, I'm going to have 4x, then 4 times 2y, so it will be plus 8y, right? Equals 4 times 2 equals to 8. So this is the result of taking this second equation and multiply by 4. Now let's rewrite. Let me rewrite the equations here again, one on top of the other. Now this is the result for x plus 8y equals to 8. all right? And again, I want to eliminate the x. I already complied with this second aspect, the second step, that is make the coefficients of the variable equal in both equations. So the next step, we need to decide if we want to add or subtract the equations in order to eliminate one of the variables. As we want to eliminate x, and I have here the two coefficients equal, I will say that the easiest way for us to do, or what we need to do, is we want to subtract the equations, okay? I'm going to subtract the two equations. Why? 4x minus 4x, they cancel out, right? Becomes 0, so nothing. And you continue with term by term. Now we do 3x minus 3y minus 8y. This will give me an answer of negative 5y, right? And here then I have 13 minus 8, which is equal to 5 normally. And if we solve for y here, we will see that y is going to take the value of negative 1, right? So we solve the first variable and we know what is the value of y. How do we find our value of x? So we can have the whole solution. You know that this is part of our solution. Y is equal to negative 1. But to solve the system, we also need to know what is the value of x. The way of us doing that, you can take this value y and you replace it either here or here, okay? So let's write down as a next step here, okay? So we can write like after having found, after finding, let's say, one variable, replace the value in an equation, either one, we don't really care which one, and find the value, or the value of the other variable, okay? To find the other variable, okay? The value of the other variable. So if we put into action this last step that I just wrote, let's take either one of them. In matter of practicity, I'm gonna go with this one. So it's gonna be x, that we don't know, plus 2y, that we already know that y is taking the value of negative 1, is equal to 2. So let's solve here. So we know that x minus 2 is equal to 2. All right. So if we continue solving, we know that x will take the value of 4, right? This will be the value of the other variable. So we already found the value of x, the value of y. That complies with these two equations, meaning that here we solve the system of equations. So please do review the step-by-step process, the recommendations, get to practice. Again, if you have any questions, email us and I'll get back to you as soon as possible to help you clarify any doubts. See you on our next video.